All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling Mark, chapter 9.
Oh, just one chapter.
Just one, but it's a doozy, trust me.
Oh, I believe you. Mark packs a lot in. So much happens.
It really does. We've got mountaintop moments, desperate fathers, and Jesus teaching some thought-provoking stuff.
It's a roller coaster, you could say.
Totally. For those maybe not familiar, Mark's Gospels, one of the four Gospels, gives us Jesus' life story.
Yeah, and each gospel has its own vibe. Mark, he's all about action, fast-paced.
Gets right to it. So, we start off, Jesus takes Peter, James, and John up a mountain. High mountain.
Not just a hike, though. This is a big moment, the Transfiguration.
Right. And those three, they're like Jesus' inner circle. Right?
Exactly. His close crew. They're going to see something incredible. And mountains, in the Bible, they're often symbolic.
Places where you meet God?
Yeah, like a spiritual high point.
Okay, imagine this. You're one of them, hiking with Jesus.
Yeah.
Suddenly, his clothes, they're like dazzling white.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Glowing, practically. Then boom, two figures appear. Not just anybody either. Moses and Elijah.
Whoa, hold on. Like the Moses from the Old Testament.
Wait, one and only. And Elijah too. Another major prophet. Past and present colliding.
Wow. I mean, visually, that's just powerful. Jesus with those two, it's like he's fulfilling those old promises.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets more intense. Cloud shows up. Voice booms out. This is my son, the beloved. Listen to him.
This isn't like, someone off stage. This is the divine voice.
The real deal.
Yeah. Affirming who Jesus is, right?
Yeah.
God's son, pay attention, fuck.
Everything else fades away. It's all about Jesus now.
I bet. Must blown their minds.
Then poof, it's over. Back down the mountain they go.
Back to reality.
But reality's got other plans. It's chaos at the bottom of the mountain.
Mark's like, okay, enough with the mountaintop. Here's real life.
And real life.
Yeah.
A desperate dad begging for his son. Kids possessed, can't speak, having seizures.
Oh, man, imagine that as a parent.
It's heartbreaking. He says to Jesus, if you are able to do anything, have compassion on us and help us.
If you are able, there's that doubt in there.
Yeah, isn't there? And Jesus picks up on it. If you are able, he says, all things are possible for the one who believes.
He's not just offering a cure, he's challenging the dad's faith.
Pushing him deeper. And the dad, wow, he cries out, I believe. Help my unbelief.
Powerful stuff. Honest. That's a prayer a lot of us can probably relate to,
Totally. Wanting to believe but wrestling with those doubts. But Jesus, he works even in that.
Definitely. And he heals the boy. Spirit's gone. Kid talks again. Everyone's amazed.
But the disciples, they're confused.
After all that.
They tried to heal him earlier, couldn't do it. Why couldn't we? They asked.
Good question.
Jesus says, this kind can come out only by prayer.
Interesting. So not just technique, but something deeper.
Reliance on God, maybe?
Yeah, like there's some battles you gotta fight on your knees.
Okay, so mountaintop, healing, and now twist.
Whoa.
Jesus predicts his death.
He does this more than once, doesn't he?
This is the second time in Mark. And the disciples. Confused, scared, even.
You'd think they'd be used to it by now, wouldn't you?
Right. What's up with that? Why don't they get it?
Maybe they had this image of a triumphant Messiah.
Conquering hero.
Exactly, a suffering Messiah. That didn't fit the picture.
So they hear the words, but it's like, doesn't compute.
Maybe they're afraid to ask, too. Like, what if it's true?
Yeah, heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Then, Mark throws this curveball. It's almost funny, but serious, too. Disciples are arguing.
What about now?
Oh, the classic. Who's the greatest?
Even after all they've seen. Human nature, I guess.
So human. Status, recognition, even when you're following Jesus.
Makes you wonder what we argue about today.
Right. Jesus, though, he uses it to teach. If anyone wants to be first, he says, he must be last of all and servant of all.
Boom, mic drop. That's a whole different way of thinking about greatness.
Totally flips the script. And he uses a child to illustrate. Symbol of humility,
Powerful. Not about power trips, but serving.
Radical stuff. Then, one more encounter. John tells Jesus they tried to stop someone casting out demons. Not part of their group, you see.
Gatekeeping.
You can't do that. You're not with us. And Jesus, do not stop him, he says. Whoever is not against us is for us.
Wow. That's huge. Still debated today, right?
Is it about actions more than belonging? Good works mattering.
It's like he's broadening the definition of Team Jesus, right?
More inclusive.
Definitely makes you think, where do we draw lines today?
Okay, so we've got belief, greatness, and then buckle up, Jesus gets real. Talk about hand cutting, foot cutting.
Oh yeah, those verses, intense.
You think he's literally saying, chop off body parts.
Nah, Jesus was a master of hyperbole, exaggeration to make a point.
So it's more like what needs cutting out in our life.
Exactly. What's holding us back from truly following him?
Sometimes letting go, it's that painful.
But necessary.
Then, whoa, shift. Now it's all about salt.
Salt. From hand cutting to salt.
Mark does that. But salt, it was valuable back then. Flavor, preservation.
Oh, I see. And Jesus, he uses it to teach, right? What are we supposed to be like in the world?
Salt, apparently.
Makes sense. Bringing out the good, preserving, stopping things going bad.
He says, have salt in yourselves and be at peace with each other.
Be the good stuff. Make a difference.
Okay, I think we've done a good climb for today, covered a lot of ground in this part of Mark.
Mountaintop views and valley lows, all in one chapter.
That's a lot to unpack.
There's always more to discover, isn't there?
Always. Man, that first part of Mark, chapter 9, really intense. We saw Jesus transformed on the mountain, then healing that boy, and then, wow, some tough teachings for his disciples.
Yeah, it's like Mark's giving us the crash course in, okay, this is what following Jesus looks like.
And it ain't always pretty, is it?
Nope, not always. Mountaintops, yeah, but then you got those valleys, doubt, confusion, fear even.
It's real, though, right? Like that dad begging for his son, I believe, help my unbelief. That just hits me hard.
It's raw, honest. You can hear the struggle, but he still goes to Jesus.
And Jesus, he doesn't shut him down, does he? He honors that honesty.
It's amazing, right? No judgment, just meets the guy where he's at, and boom, miracle happens.
Shows us God can work even when we're messed up, unsure. It's not about perfect faith, but taking that step anyway.
What really gets me is it's not just the kid's healing, but the dad's faith, too.
Oh, yeah, good point.
It grows through this, like we all experience that. Seeing God's power, even when we doubt.
Yeah, I can think of times in my own life wrestling with stuff.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments, crying out honestly. That's when I've felt God the most, weirdly.
It's not about pretending we got it all figured out. God meets us in the mess.
So belief's a big theme here.
Yeah.
But then you've got the disciples wanting to be the best, and Jesus is like, nope, here's what greatness really is.
It's funny almost how they're arguing about that after everything they've seen.
Right. But it shows you how strong those ideas are. Power, status. Even when you're trying to follow Jesus.
Sneaky ego trips, man.
So Jesus lays it down. If anyone wants to be first, he must be last of all and servant of all. Changes the whole game.
Blows their minds, I bet. Uses a child as an example, too. Totally dependent, humble.
Like, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Serving, putting others first.
Not exactly what the world teaches, is it?
Makes you think, how do we measure success? Is it Jesus's way or the world's way?
Big questions.
Then Mark throws in that scene, disciples trying to stop the guy casting out demons. He's now one of us.
Oh, yeah, the gatekeepers. Us versus them, even among Jesus' followers.
Trying to control it all. But Jesus, he's like, do not stop him. Whoever's not against us is for us.
Still makes waves today, that line. Makes you think, how inclusive are we being?
Are we drawing those lines too? Or are we more open, like Jesus, to how God might be working?
I think we all got to check ourselves on that one.
Okay, then things get really intense. Jesus talks about cutting off hands, feet, tough stuff.
Oh, yeah, those verses. People get tripped up on those.
But we got to remember, Jesus, he used hyperbole, exaggerating to make a point.
Not about literally hacking yourself up.
More like, what needs to be cut out to he of our lives? Spiritually speaking.
What's holding us back, keeping us from that wholehearted following of Jesus?
Could be habits, relationships, even stuff we own that's become too important.
It's about getting honest, letting go of whatever's hindering us, even if it hurts.
Then bam, it's all about salt. Weird transition, right?
From amputation to seasoning, Mark keeps us on our toes.
But salt, it was a big deal. Preserving, making things taste good.
I get it. Jesus is saying this is what you are supposed to be like in the world.
Like salt. So what does that mean, practically?
Living a life that matters. Not just for us, but impacting others positively. Standing up for good, fighting for what's right, letting our faith make a difference.
Bringing some flavor, huh?
Yeah, and preventing things from going bad, like salt does. It's a beautiful picture.
So much to think about here in part 2. We've got the power of belief. Serving others like it's the most important thing.
Being open to how God might be working, even outside our little circles.
And being willing to let go of stuff that's holding us back so we can really be that salt Jesus talks about.
It's a lot to take in, for sure.
But good stuff to chew on, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And there's more to come, right? This deep dive ain't over yet.
Back again. Mark chapter 9. Man, oh man. I'm telling you, it's like we hike up Everest and Dee ran a marathon all in this one chapter.
It is something else. It's like the whole Christian life packed in here. The ups, the downs, doubts, those aha moments, and Jesus saying, come on, follow me, even when it's rough.
And you see the disciples, more than usual, I think, really grappling with, WHO is this Jesus guy. They got their ideas and he keeps turning them upside down.
Yeah, we all do that, right? Come to faith thinking we know how it works. Then Jesus is like, hold my juice box.
So if we were to boil this whole chapter down, what are the biggies? What do we walk away with from this deep dive?
I gotta go with that prayer, the dad's prayer. I believe, help my unbelief. It's okay to admit we're struggling. Faith isn't always sunshine and roses.
But it's that step, even when we're not sure, that matters, huh?
Absolutely. And the letting go part, that's tough for me. Surrendering control, saying, I don't know it all, but I trust you.
Yeah, that resonates with me too. This whole chapter, it's like disciples clinging to their way, and Jesus is like, let go, see it differently.
And that ties into the whole humility thing too. Jesus turns their idea of greatness upside down.
If anyone wants to be first, he says, he must be last of all and servant of all. Mind blown. And he uses a kid to show him, this is it, folks. Humility, serving, not bossing people around.
It's counter to everything we're told, right? Be the best, climb the ladder, but Jesus is like, nope, lift others up.
And it's not about these huge deeds. It's the everyday stuff, right? Kindness to your family, helping a neighbor, that kind of thing.
Little things add up. It's a choice, putting someone else first.
Another one that got me, gotta be inclusive. Those disciples stopping the guy casting out demons because he wasn't in their club.
Oh yeah, us versus them, that creeps in everywhere, even with Jesus' people.
Whoever is not against us is for us, Jesus says. Powerful. Makes you check yourself right. Are we drawing lines God wouldn't draw?
I think it's easy to, categorize people, but Jesus is like, my kingdom's bigger than your boxes.
Maybe God's working where we least expect it.
Right. Open minds, open hearts, seeing the good, even in folks we disagree with.
Okay, then we get the tough stuff. Cutting off hands, feet. People freak out about these verses.
They can be shocking, yeah. But remember, Jesus, he's using hyperbole, over-the-top imagery to make a point.
Not about actual amputation.
Yeah.
More like spiritual spring cleaning.
What's gotta go so we can truly follow? Bad habits, relationships that drag us down, even stuff we own if it's more important than Jesus.
Takes guts to face that stuff. What needs cutting out in our lives? That's the question.
It's a process, though. Not one-time thing, but keeping on asking God, what's gotta change in me?
And then, just like that, it's salt time. Talk about a switch up.
From body parts to spices. Gotta love Mark.
But salt, back then, it was essential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Preserving flavor, the good stuff.
And Jesus is saying, that's you. That's how you live in the world.
Salt. So what's that look like day to day?
Living with purpose. Making a positive impact, not just coasting along. Standing up for what's right, working for peace and justice. Letting your faith shine so others see God in you.
Not hiding it away.
Exactly. It's a challenge, but a good one. Reminds us, faith ain't just what we believe in our heads, it's how we live.
So here we are, end of our Mark, chapter 9 deep dive. I gotta ask, if Jesus walked up to you today and said, what were you arguing about on the way? How would you answer?
Ooh, good one. Makes you think. What are we focused on? What are our mountains? What needs cutting out to follow him better?
This chapter, it throws down the gauntlet, doesn't it? Belief, service, inclusivity, honesty with ourselves, it's a lot.
But it's good stuff, life-changing stuff. Mark just lays it out there.
It does. Thanks for joining us on this one, folks. Keep digging into Mark. There's so much more to discover.
Oh yeah, this is just the beginning.
Till next time, keep seeking, keep asking those tough questions, and keep diving deeper into this faith thing.
See you on next Deep Dive.